a hungry feeling came o'er me stealing. All the mice were squealing in my prison cell, and the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal.
If you're like me, about 25 years old, you feel like a prisoner. You feel the pressure pushing down on you. Year on year, inflation gets higher and higher, and it makes it more and more difficult for young people like us to actually make a living, to be independent. And for this independence, we have to go to a 9-to-5 that we don't like and doesn't appreciate us, with limited opportunities to progress or even make more money. It eats away at our time, our precious youth, years of which have already been stolen by a pandemic. And we are told to accept this vision of the future. We are told that we are going to own nothing. We are never going to be able to own our own homes, and we should just be happy about it. At the same time, we are getting older. We are sacrificing our youth for a future that doesn't exist. And these concerns are very, very real. But an over-focus on them has trapped our generation in a prison of mental fear. We are bombarded with messages that are telling us that we have no hope. We are always going to be poor.
You're broke! You're fucking poor!
And these messages are very, very carefully crafted. They are crafted by people who want to sell us the escape. The people who tell us that yes, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be a creative, and you'll get out. You'll be the one who flies away out of this nightmarish vision of the future. But this kind of hope is not hope at all. It is hope that is being held at the end of a barrel of a gun. And the gun is being held by the creators that are telling you that it's possible, if you just follow their methods, to escape. Most young people today intuitively understand that we are given a raw deal when it comes to our future. The rising cost of living year on year makes it harder and harder for us to become independent. And this is depressing a lot of people because they can't leave their parents' houses. We see that across most Western countries, young people are leaving their parents' houses at later and later ages. This is definitely true in my country, Ireland. I'm Irish. Surprise. This is a major problem because a lot of these young people are overqualified. They're extremely, extremely highly qualified and feel, because of these qualifications, that they're entitled to a well-paying job. Worse than this, they're being told that they are never going to be able to earn enough through that job or any job that they get afterwards to own their own home in their lifetimes. This was a privilege that was afforded to their parents and to their grandparents. So we are objectively worse off than they are.
Only half of millennials are earning more than its parents. Since 1989, people under the age of 40 have seen their share of the nation's wealth plummet from 19% to 9%, and for the first time in US history, young people are no longer better off economically than their parents were at the same age.
Even worse again, it feels as though there is nothing that we can do to change the situation politically, because young people in most Western countries are a very, very small demographic who is very apathetic to political change. They don't feel represented by most of the major political parties in their countries. Now, you could say that's a very generalizing statement about a lot of countries and a lot of political parties. In my case, in Ireland, it's true. We have 3 main political parties. I don't feel represented by any of them. I can't see any of them making an actual change in my country. I've heard a lot of people from the US say the same, whether it's Democrat, whether it's Republican, even if it's Trump, they don't feel that there is a major change coming that's going to affect their lives. They feel as though the status quo is going to continue forever. Our only form of escape from this absolutely nightmarish vision of the future that we are presented with is to start an online business or try and make some money online. But this is not without its flaws either. You see, when most people actually go and start to make money online, they will look for how to do it. And they will find some kind of guru, some kind of mentor that they can follow. Somebody who has already escaped this vision of the future, whose methods that they can replicate. Now, the problem with this is that usually online gurus and mentors and coaches follow the 2 steps behind approach, where they learned the skill and they taught it to people who are 2 steps behind them. The problem with this is that if you replicate it on a mass scale with people who are desperate to make money, you end up churning out an awful lot of content that is just crap. Here's why. Take a big creator in the self-improvement space, for example. This creator gets big by teaching young people 2 steps behind them how to improve themselves.
Take a minute right now in this actionable step to just think about who could you sell to, and the easiest answer is just your younger self.
And when one of these young people comes back to the creator and says, I want to make my own YouTube channel, I want to make my own coaching service, the mentor, the influencer, the coach will turn back to that young person and say, do exactly as I did. Teach people 2 steps behind you. This is a problem because the person who has gone to the mentor, the young person, is young. They probably don't have a lot of skills. So they will end up offering an absolutely generic service that nobody needs. And even if people do need it, they will go to the person who mentored the student. They will go to the actual influencer, to the actual guru, because the guru is already known for doing this. When these young people run up against that wall of reality, that they're not actually offering anything new, anything creative, they get hopeless, they don't make any money, and they're right back at square one, despite having wasted potentially even a year of their youth on this project that was doomed to go nowhere from the very beginning. We need to make the future sexy for electricians again. If everybody becomes a TikToker, becomes a content creator, who turns on the lights? You already know this. Not everybody can do this. This entrepreneurship dream doesn't work for society at large. Therefore, it's a bad idea to constantly promote it all the time. People in 9-to-5s need to be given an optimistic version of their future. Now, what happens if you're part of that 1%? The guys who make it, the guys who escape this depressing vision of the future by becoming the content creator, by becoming the online entrepreneur that they always dreamed of being. Think about it. What's your plan? You're going to go probably to a major city. You're going to go to a Bali, to a Dubai, to a London, to a Paris. What happens if the average Austinite, Londoner, Parisian, or even LA resident, what happens if their concerns are not met politically? What happens if they don't have any optimistic vision of the future that gives them hope to go forwards? What happens if they don't have any recourse for political change to change that situation? The answer is clear, and we've been seeing it a lot recently in London, in Paris, in LA, and even now in Japan. People turn to violence. When they don't see any political solution, they turn to violence. So yes, you can escape, but the places that you can escape to are increasingly going down the pan in terms of quality of lifestyle. And this is not going to stop. There has been no situation ever in history where a gated community of rich people has been able to isolate themselves from the outside world. You need people to keep your lights on. You need people to keep your plumbing working. And unless these people have an actual optimistic vision of the future that they can strive towards, the society around you is eventually going to go up in flames. And this is what we are seeing in the formerly great cities that people once aspired to live in, like LA, like London, like Paris. And that epidemic is not going to stop there. It's going to expand to lesser cities. And eventually, unless drastic change happens, it will end up in your town. Now, the situation I've outlined in this video is incredibly bleak. You can either sacrifice your time and your efforts to a system that doesn't care about you and isn't going to really reward you, and that is the 9-to-5 traditional conventional system. Or you have the option in deluding yourself with fake hope and sacrificing all of your time to an algorithm that also doesn't care about you and probably isn't going to reward you. Even if it does, you will end up working on some kind of product or service that you're not genuinely passionate about. You have just approached it out of fear. Fear about your future. Now, I can't offer a specific solution to you, yes, you, in this video. Your situation is incredibly complex. You're a unique individual. And I'm not going to do the thing that everybody does in offering you a sexy, marketable solution that looks well on a YouTube thumbnail. I can't do that. I can't offer more false hope when I've outlined it so clearly in this video. What I want to do on this channel is to show you, by example, how to operate in these weird times, how to carry on in the face of this bleak situation in a way that doesn't make you lose hope, that doesn't make you lose your spark and your enjoyment of your life. Because I believe that is something that us young people struggle with. We feel the pressure. We feel the pressure to work as hard as humanly possible, to sacrifice all of our time, all of our youth into one day potentially making it. And that isn't realistic. So if you make something online, do it out of passion. That's all I can say to you, if that is your dream. Then I want to draw a historical parallel to show you that we are not really alone in this situation. Yes, our situation is unique because of the internet, and that obviously makes our whole timeline unique. But history, while it doesn't repeat itself, it very often rhymes. There are similarities you can see in different historical events. Now I'm going to bring up one that's very, very niche. Welcome to this channel, by the way. Get used to it. In Czechoslovakia, from 1968 until 1989, when the country basically fell apart, the citizens of that country had no political agency to change anything about their futures. They essentially lived under a dictatorship where they were told what job they would have, what area of the country they would live in, and they had no power to actually vote any changes to happen. Even if you were in favor of the system, by the way. The economic situation in Czechoslovakia was terrible, and most people were able to emigrate. This is not an option we have because most countries nowadays are all operating under the same guise. However, we have one advantage that the people in Czechoslovakia did not have. The dissidents in Czechoslovakia tried to set up a counter-society. Now this failed miserably. It didn't go anywhere outside of the capital. It didn't really affect much real change on the ground. But while we are imprisoned by our fear as a generation in these modern times, we have been imprisoned with our phones. We have the ability to communicate, to share ideas on how we can best live with these modern times. And that is what I want to do on this channel. I want to be a voice that puts forward accurately the issues and the concerns of this particular generation. So if you feel like there's anything I've missed in this one, please pop it down below. I'd love to hear it, and I will speak about it in a future video. By sharing these ideas, we can gain political clout. We can have a shared voice. We can put forward what our issues actually are. So it is actually in your best interest, and I don't just say this out of self-interest, it is in your best interest, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it thought-provoking, to share it with other young people, to put a comment, to like it, to boost it. It's in your interest. I want to speak for you. I want there to be a unified voice for the issues of this generation. Yes, I might be one man in Ireland, a country that is barely relevant on the political scene, But I have a very, very clear idea of the issues that our generation faces, because I'm part of this generation. And when I speak about our generation, I mean young people, not just young men, by the way, 25 and younger, in Western European countries, in North American countries, in the first world, essentially. As for the ethos of this channel, I want to leave you with this. I believe that we as a generation should build ourselves up physically, spiritually, and even financially. But we should do it without the fear that comes with wanting to someday make it big or make it rich. We should accept that this is probably not going to happen. And once we let go of that fear, we will be able to enjoy our lives and the little things that make these lives special. Encounters with family, enjoying time and spending time with friends. And once you do this, you will find that you will be able to take a more relaxed approach to the situation that's coming, because it is bleak. And the one thing that is going to keep you going through bleak times is family, is friends, is a personal sense of joy. I heard this quote on a podcast the other day that I think sums up our situation very, very well. It goes like this. The modern world is divided between people who see its meaninglessness and try and avoid it through various substances and hedonisms, or those who face it and go crazy in the process. Now, I believe that we can face this. We can face the crises that are coming. In fact, we don't really have an option. If you want the future to be better, you have to engage with the present as it presents itself to you right now. And as such, I believe that if you are opinionated about this, and if you have something to say about the future of your life and the future that you're presented with, you should not be afraid. You should use your voice and you should do this. Put your balls on the line. Stand behind what you believe in. Don't just try and escape the matrix for yourself by selling some crappy info product. You're made for more than this. That is the one inspiring thing about our times, is that it is such an insurmountable challenge on the face of things that if we are the generation that manages to overcome it, then that is a challenge that we could relish, that we could go into with fire and vigor. We could say that we are the ones who are destined to change this. You can see, this is making me happy just speaking about it right now. We on this channel stand in favor of life, even when it does not favor us. Savor yours.
Hardly seem true yesterday. How the fuck am I supposed to see tomorrow? Cold turkey doesn't fit. No, it makes me feel like fucking shit. No, drugs to shit, or even to borrow. All their friends thinks their life's at ease. They don't know they've HIV. They live a life of misery and sorrow. And though it is a bleeding shame, sure you know they'll do the same again. And they'll keep on doing this till they reach tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Sure, it never does, son. Don't take me drugs away. I hardly see through yesterday. How the fuck am I supposed to see tomorrow?